Okay, we are live. Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and welcome to the preview for Manchester United versus Man City. And as well as that, of course, I'll bring you guys all of the latest news from around the club. So let's get into tomorrow's match. Look, this is going to be an interesting match. I'm really not expecting much, and by the looks of things on the poll, not a lot of you guys are expecting too much either. I've got 50% of people saying that we're going to lose the match tomorrow. Only 25% are reckoning a draw, and a very optimistic 25% are saying we might win tomorrow. Personally, I can't see it happening as much as I want to, as positive as I try to be. I just can't see tomorrow going well. I really, really cannot see Manchester United getting anything at the Etihad. And look, that's not to say that it won't happen. It's not to say it hasn't happened in the past. It's just the way we are playing, the way City are playing. I just feel like we're going to end up in a collision course with a team that's just determined to win and that's going to win tomorrow. Anyway, look, I got thoughts coming in here from Bart. He is saying, hello everyone in chat. Can't wait for the derby. Has there ever been a derby where one team is so far ahead of the other? Absolutely. That could probably be the last Manchester derby as well. Honestly, it seems to be United slipping behind most years. Let me move my camera over a little bit, guys. So yeah, look, we're going to get into some of the latest stuff at the moment, guys. Have some interesting thoughts coming in from both Erik ten Hag and from Pep Guardiola that we will go through. City, of course, last time out against United at Old Trafford, they won 3-0. They're 15 points ahead of us. It's once again United miles behind Manchester City. Both teams in pretty good form. City unbeaten in the last 18 matches. United have only lost once in the year of 2024, but it was a very disappointing loss last time in the Premier League, and it was against Fulham. Now, does that mean that we're going to go out tomorrow and have a good match? I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be doing that there, guys. I hope we do. Look, I hope beyond all hope that we manage to turn up with that team tomorrow and have a cracker of a match. I just looking at the team that we have available, looking at the lack of goals, looking at the lack of solid defenders in there as well, it concerns me. It concerns me a lot. It really does. I have a thought coming in. It looks to be from Ronnie. Ronnie is saying in the chat today, I'll not be down if City win it, stops Liverpool win. And I mean, yeah, maybe that's something you can think of if there's a silver lining out there anywhere. But I guess just looking at it from the point of view that we've no Rasmus Højlund, our top goal scorer, it's likely going to be a forward line of Anthony, Garnacho, and Rashford. I will get into my team in just a moment as well. I just don't know if I'm feeling overly confident about this, guys. You look, let me know your thoughts. If you guys think we can go out tomorrow and win, can we sit back in the counter, absorb the pressure, and manage to score a goal that way? I don't know. Hi, Rajat. What's up, man? I'm all good. Thanks very much. Look, it's been a little bit of a frustrating week content-wise. I know I've had a very bad week in work with a lot of things coming up. I have an exam on Friday, which didn't help, so I tried to do some prep for that as well. And then I also had some family things on as well this week. But thankfully, things are back to normal now. Everything looks to be in the clear and everything looks to be good. And we're here ready to have a look at the match tomorrow. And hopefully we can have a big one, and hopefully we can go out there and at least do ourselves proud. Whether we do it or not, I don't know. I really don't know. Pep Guardiola has said, in his experience, these types of games tend to be more calm, relaxed. We don't talk about many things. Focus on the tactics, focus on what we have to do to win, not emotions, because with emotion there will be doubt. I mean, yeah, we already know Pep wants a team of robots. That's a well-established fact. But right now, I think Manchester United could do with doing the fundamentals a little bit better as well. From time to time. But look, looking ahead for tomorrow, it's going to be an interesting one. We'll have a look at some of the City team news. Jack Grealish is ruled out of tomorrow's match, of course. Gvardiol is nearing a return, but the game will be too soon for him as well. Erik ten Hag does not expect any of his players to return from injury on Sunday. Bruno Fernandes and Rafael Varane are expected to be named in the squad after playing against Nottingham Forest midweek, despite their own fitness issues. Of course, when we look at the form guide, City, Haaland 5 goals in the last match, De Bruyne 4 assists as well. So it doesn't get much better than that, really, from attacking duo. So they're right up in form. Obviously, we've lost our main source of goals. We still do have a threat. We've got McTominay on there, who I think will be heavily featured in tomorrow's match. And hopefully, he can bring us some goal-scoring impetus if needed. If we score tomorrow, it might not be from a traditional sense. It might not be from an attacker. It might be from a set piece. It might be from a free kick like we did against Nottingham Forest. It might be Harry Maguire. It might be Varane, if he plays, it might be Johnny Evans if he ends up on the pitch. But look, it's been an interesting ride tomorrow anyway. And look, the sooner we get Rasmus Højlund back, the better I'm going to feel about Manchester United. That's going to give me a much, much better indication of how we're going to do. Look, I've got thoughts coming in so far from a lot of you guys. 12 likes on the stream. Let me see. Rajat will let Liverpool win the Premier League. I mean, it does kind of feel like the Premier League want them to win as well. Big T is down there. Would rather Liverpool win and stop City winning 4 in a row. Would never hear the end of it. Yeah, but then they would match us on the perch. We can't have that either. Possibly, if you're looking into that line of thinking, Arsenal's your best hope for that there. Although their fan base will be pretty unbearable. Ronnie says, how many referees to Liverpool? They got their goal in the 99th minute. Yeah, I mean, that's just typical, man. It's the conspiracy is that the Premier League have decided they would like a Klopp title race, and they're gonna do everything they can do to make sure that that happens. Now, whether or not that's true or not, I mean, we're gonna have to hopefully stick with the fairness of the principles of the game here. I guess that's what we're gonna have to go with. But yeah, look, certainly tomorrow's going to be an interesting match for sure. There's an interesting match on right now at Kennelsworth Road as well. I've got it on the background, just keeping an eye on it. Obviously, impacts on our top 4 hopes if we're going to have any at all. I have chat sport. I would rather see Bruno as striker. Rajat says, what players do I like of City? I like Ederson, Rodri, Bernardo Silva, Alvarez, obviously Haaland. Yeah, I mean, I like all those players. It wouldn't be hard to pick a couple of players from the City team who we could take and would improve us. I think most of their players probably start for us as well. I have comments coming in from Bart as well. Rajat, no, Tottenham and Arsenal are the best hope. Liman is done there as well. Good to see you, buddy. With the trolling. Rajat says, bench Rashford, he's crap mentality. Look, I guess since we're talking on the subject, let's get into the team. This is what I think we're going to go with. And it didn't take me long to make this. It's the exact same team as Wednesday night. And that's what I think we're going with. That's what I think it will be. I think the only potential change you might see in there is Harry Maguire, depending on fitness, but that's about it. Obviously, look, Onana will start. It will not be Altay Bayandere. Dallo will start. It will not be Aaron Wan-Bissaka. It will be Varane. It'll either be Lindelof or Harry Maguire. It'll probably be Amrabat. At left back, it'll be the same midfield. I reckon McTominay in there to add a goal-scoring impetus. I wouldn't mind seeing Kobbie Mainoo in there. If he played Kobbie, I would totally get it, and I'd be very happy. I would prefer it, in fact, but that's what I do see us playing on in tomorrow's match. And I think the forward line's going to pick itself. I think it's going to be Rashford. I think it's going to be Anthony. I think it's going to be Garnacho. That's what I think it's going to be, guys. The man, let's hope Arsenal win the league. Bart says the refs helped United out before as well. Yeah, they probably did. Fergie wasn't talking about the Champions League. Don't worry, buddy. We'll keep the agenda. For anyone interested in the Aston Villa Luton match, Luton Town have fought back from 2-0 down to be level again at 2-2 as well. Chasport says the left back will be interesting. It sure will. It sure will, buddy. I'm not too sure what we're going to go for. I think you absolutely could and should see Kobbie Mainoo in there. I think you still need to get McTominay in there. Casemiro is one of those players. It's like, I think he's been really poor a lot of times this season, but do you play him for that kind of experience in these big matches? Is that what you go with? It's kind of hard to leave a player like that out, but at the same time, what he's delivering on the pitch still hasn't been good enough either. So it's one of them. It's going to be a difficult one to determine, really. And it's going to be a different and very interesting thought process that Erik ten Hag will go through. Now, look, we know Ten Hag better than anybody. We know he is very likely to pick the exact same team he picked last time out, because look, that's kind of the way he operates. If we're winning, he doesn't change it. So long as we're not losing in a match, he won't make a sub. That's kind of what Erik ten Hag does most weeks. We know this. We know this. Look, City might add a different impetus, obviously, with the derby, with the size of the club we're coming up against, but I'm not too sure. There's a lot to be said tomorrow for being pragmatic, and I think we will be. I think we will look to try counterattack. I hope we are not expecting to be playing a high line against City with Varane, Maguire, and Casemiro as the entire rest defence, because that is only going to end one way. Fulham turned us over last week doing it. Man City are going to do unspeakable things to us if we attempt the same story again tomorrow. Rajat says, let Garnacho sit in the bench for 1 or 2 matches. We could see Dalot at left back and Lindelof right back. Yeah, we could. We absolutely could. And maybe we should if you want to make that argument. And look, I completely agree with Garnacho needing a rest. I do. I just don't see he's going to play. I really don't. We don't have anyone to play centrally. We can't put Rashford onto the left unless we're going to pick McTominay. Unless we go with the forward line of McTominay as our striker and Anthony and Rashford. But that's about it. That is about all we can do. Liman says, if we put 100 quid on United tomorrow and McTominay decides to score in the 95th minute, we'll get a cool £1,000 as the odds for us to winning or attempting 10. Well, if you're a betting man, Liman, you can go for it, buddy. But I think if you want to waste your money, you're safer like going somewhere else or doing something. Let me see. Bart is down there. Rashi had a painful breakup, an incident in Northern Ireland, lost his England players while carrying a niggle early in the season. Give him time with a psychologist. He will be back because he wants to go to the Euros. I mean, I don't think Rashford's done. I think he's going to have a while in there yet as well. Chat Sport, is Graham Potter an upgrade on Eric Ten Hag? Depends on what we want from Graham Potter. Is Graham Potter a good coach? Yes. Graham Potter is a very good coach. Can he drill and implement a clear tactical vision for Manchester United? He can. But does he need the right environment to thrive? Yes. We've seen him at Chelsea and it went monumentally wrong. And the reason why it went monumentally wrong was because he had a very good structure around him at Brighton, and he didn't have that. He didn't have that at Chelsea, and these are facts. But how quick will his adaptation be as well? Will Eric Ten Hag do better in a good structure as well? These are questions for Omar Barada, for Dan Ashworth, for Jason Wilcox, for Jean-Claude Blanc, for Brailsford, for Ratcliffe. That is questions for them to come up with an answer to. Ultimately, we're going to have to accept what the club are going to go with, and we don't know what that's going to be just yet. It might be sticking with Ten Hag short term. It might be giving him a season under this ownership to see how he performs. There could be interests and conflicts of interest with Ten Hag not looking to relinquish transfer power. That could cause issues. So it's an interesting situation because Ten Hag's got more control now than what he will do when Ineos fully come in and start running the place. There's no doubt about it. So it just depends on how we're going to deal with that. Now I got comments coming in from Big T. Says anyone's an upgrade in Ten Hag. Le Man says Arsenal aren't our favourite rivals like Liverpool and City. We hate Arsenal because of Wenger and fights. Yeah, Bart says Forsen would be buzzing for the game, as would Stockport Bournemouth. He absolutely would be. I mean, I would love to get them in it. Rajad said, why aren't we looking at Amorim? We are looking at Amorim. I think Muppeteers are kind of talking about it. Some of the targets we're looking at are Ruben Amorim, Graham Potter's being discussed as well, De Zerbi's being discussed, and Nagelsmann. Out of those, I'm taking Nagelsmann every day of the week. I mean, I've been impressed with what De Zerbi's done at Brighton, but I'm not going to get myself into thinking there's not clear issues there, and seemingly they have big issues defensively, and he hasn't come up with solutions to that either. Obviously, he's working with very little. Graham Potter worked with very little at Brighton as well. Look, for me, it's Nagelsmann. I think that's my choice. I think Amorim would be fantastic as well, but I think that's going to take an even bigger, that would require an even bigger adaptation as well than what we might see with Julian Nagelsmann coming in as well. Apparently, Nagelsmann's been talked about and recommended by Rangnick to the club, who supposedly reached out. Now, I mean, I'm calling bullshit in this story. I can't see Ralph Rangnick out of the goodness of his heart calling up his old employers who sacked him saying, you need to get this guy. I just can't see that being the case unless he's looking his job back. I don't know. But I would be surprised myself. But look, there's certainly a lot of interesting stuff we will go through. I guess tomorrow's match is going to be a case of can we hold on against City, because we're going to have to weather the storm. We're going to be facing a lot of shots. Now, we do this every match regardless. Across the Premier League, we conceded a shot every 5 minutes of every single match. That's why we are where we are in the league. Obviously, we don't score enough, but when you concede a shot every 5 minutes, you're going to concede a lot of goals, and that's where we find ourselves. So Is it going to be anything too unexpected in that sense? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But how do we deal with that as well is going to be an interesting question, because this isn't going to be the equivalent of Luton Town having shots from outside the box. This might be a case of Erling Haaland having 3 or 4 shots within the penalty box during tomorrow's match. That's what we could be looking at. That could be the level of chance conceding that we go through, unfortunately. Now, I really wish it wasn't going to be that way. I mean, my preference, of course, would be that we go there and win. But I think we do have to be realistic and look at what we reasonably can expect to see ahead of time. But look, it's it is an interesting one, guys. Tomorrow's match. I'm not too sure how I feel about our chances. I don't know if we're gonna be expecting a lot out of tomorrow's match. I think, look, if we go and genuinely give it our all, put it in, and we come away and it's like I don't know, if we come away with like a 1-0 loss, I mean, I guess I feel so embarrassed as a United fan talking about coming away with your head held high, like, but that's what we could be looking at tomorrow. That could be genuinely best case scenario for us in tomorrow's match. And that for me is another worry. I don't want to get into that. Like, I really, really, really don't want to have to get in that. But look, guys, get your thoughts in down below. If you have any predictions, let me know as well. I've loads of comments coming in. Let me read some of the comments, because I can see they're flying in, guys, as well. Jarl says, I have a feeling it's going to be very ugly tomorrow. Rajat, why are we not looking at Amorim? I've seen that. Jarl says, it went wrong at Chelsea because of the owner decided to get him 3 teams of players. I mean, yeah. Chelsea are a microcosm of what's wrong with our recruitment. Only Chelsea have done it in the last 12 months as opposed to the last 10 years. But yeah, Rajat said Rashi's not considered Man United level. I think he is, to be fair, man. Rajat don't want De Zerbi, Italian plumber he looks like. Bart says Barca, along with Real, Madrid, Liverpool, Bayern, all looking for a new manager. Why would an elite name come to Old Trafford with the uncertainty of the recent past owners and the scale of the job? It's true. These are things we have to come up with as well. Andrew says Luton level it. Yeah, Luton are level with Aston Villa, and that match is still going on. Can either team find an equaliser? Winner. I'll let you know if it comes in as well. Big T says, I don't recognise City as the rivals. They're the noisy neighbours. Granted, they're making a lot of noise, but they're nowhere near us in silverware. True. Luman, Stefan, I see the fear in my eyes. That's rather concerning as well, buddy. Jarl says we have 2 rivals, Liverpool and Leeds. Chasport said De Zerbi just for the football. Big T, I take the Leicester manager. Are we talking Enzo, former City? I don't know if that'll be a reasonable one if we'll go for him. Chasport said something else, I think. De Zerbi just for the footballs and that. Stephanie is down there as well. Big up, Steph. Bart, if I want Radcliffe, I would sure Ten Hag of the job. Make sure our preseason doesn't involve a tour. We've already got a tour done, buddy. And that's already organised. 15 likes. Thanks very much, guys. Much appreciated. Big T, could we appoint a manager to coach Ten Hag? Man, that would be the most embarrassing thing ever. Le Mans, how's the painting? And tomorrow, going to the pub. Steph, won't be on the watch along tomorrow. I'll be on the local with the Guinness goggles on. It might be needed, Steph. It might be needed. Honestly, not going to be. I'm not expecting a lot. Look, I guess we'll get into some of the other stuff for United in a minute. We'll come back to the preview stuff as well in just a bit. But I think looking at what, into some of the initial early transfer stuff, we're starting to see some names coming up to keep an eye out on. Certainly, look, I know that Ineos haven't really got the ball rolling as of yet in the official capacity. I know that Ashworth hasn't started yet in an official capacity. I know Barada hasn't started yet in an official capacity, but there is talk and there are players who are being linked to, and definitely people to be keeping an eye out on. And I do think the groundwork will be being done. I mean, we don't need a long time to look at the squad to see where the issues are. We already know where they are. A lot of them will be coming in the defence, and we're looking at a left back at the minute from Girona, and we are also looking at a defensive midfielder from Atalanta. I think we are looking at. Let me quickly pull this up here for you guys. I think it was Ederson from Atalanta. Hoylman is another one we're looking at. We're looking allegedly at Aaron Anselmino from Boca Juniors. What else we got? Is there something else? I think that might have been it as well. But look, it's good to say that we're going out and we're getting business done earlier. We're looking at some business and we're looking at some players early. I think we do need these type of players. You only have to look at this team on the right hand side of me to see where I think we should be really focusing our efforts striking position. I think Hoyland is good enough to be number one, but he's got to have some kind of a backup in there. I think you need a new defensive midfielder. I think you need a new centre half. I think you need a new left back. That's probably season one. Jasper said, "What is the left back's name?" Let me quickly pull it up here, buddy. I was looking for the news article. I saw that on. That's for Girona. Let me see if I can quickly find him. I think it might be. Is it this guy? It might be Miguel Gutierrez, 22-year-old left back from Girona. I think that that rings a bell. Yeah, Miguel Gutierrez. Exciting. The kind of players we need, the kind of young players we need at the right kind of age. We need goals, absolutely, Chasport. And I think for me, one of the biggest frustrations, I think the lack of goals comes down to style of play as much as it does personnel. Because we got Hoyland, who we know can stick them in the back of the net, who we know is a really good finisher. Big T says stick Wan-Bissaka on Haaland and scoring. I just don't know if anything can stop Haaland scoring when he's in the mood, buddy. Steph will be plastered after 15 minutes on Springs. The Leeds-born Norwegian, as you saw. Oh man, Bart's trying to get people put into the hospital here for like alcohol poisoning as well. Guys, big ups on the 17 likes because we've only got like 30 views on the stream as well. So like that's obviously just the regular guys coming in here, dropping the likes, dropping some fun as well. But look, I guess if we want to go back to what we can expect tomorrow, I think a good place to start is probably the derby earlier in the season, 3-0 at Old Trafford. I think the concerning thing for me is whilst we've been beaten by bigger margins by Liverpool, whilst we've conceded more goals against City in individual matches, a lot of the times when we play City, they don't get out of first gear. I think that concerns me as well. It's the fact that they're not really trying and they're still sticking 3 goals past us. I mean, we seen us last week against Fulham. That could be what we see tomorrow on a bigger scale, because the issues that Ten Hag has to deal with, I still don't see him dealing with them. And look, that's one of my big frustrations. I completely, look, I get we'll have a drop off in performance because of the injuries, because of the inconsistencies, because the squad still isn't right, because we still lack goals, we still lack depth, we still lack key personnel. But I think Ten Hag can do a lot better to make us harder to beat. And I think the spacing issues are the big one. We shouldn't have 30-40 yards in front of the back line and the midfield. If we give that space tomorrow to Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland, then it's only going to end up one way. It's only going to end up one way. It really, really is. Man Utd says, definitely taking a mass with you to the pub. Manu says, it's a battle of Stockport-born players, Foden versus Manu. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But look, guys, I think in tomorrow's match, we want to be hard to beat. I think that's going to be the only way we can really go out there and get a win, because I don't think we can press City's backline. I just don't think we can do it. I really don't. I know we got good pressing numbers, but I mean, I'm looking at that 11. There's no explosive pace anywhere in that pitch. There's none with Anthony or Garnacho. You don't really get that kind of pressing from Rashford. The midfield is kind of sluggish unless you put Cobby in there, but then you're putting an 18-year-old up against Kevin De Bruyne. It's very much sink or swim kind of territory. The back line I worry for. I mean, I think I would prefer Harry Maguire in there to Victor Lindelof, because I don't want to see Lindelof against Erling Haaland, especially early. That's not going to be a fun time for anyone involved, especially not Manchester United. Bart says, my view is Ten Hag will be conservative, as last season's 6-3 was a bit of a lesson for him. The absence of key players limits his ability to bring his philosophy to the fore. Yeah, it does. Wasim, I prefer a City win because I hate Liverpool. I mean, if you ask me, my preference would be to win tomorrow and then beat Liverpool at Old Trafford. That would be the absolute dream. Whether or not we're capable of doing that, looks to be a third goal scored here in Villa versus Luton, but I missed who it was for. I've got like the video on here anyway. I think it's a Villa goal. They're on the attack here anyway. Um, yeah, Jarl says Villa scores at the end. Yep, just seen it, buddy. Just seen it. Got one coming in here, Man Utd. We have to park a bus, a truck, and a train tomorrow to come out with a decent loss. I'm guessing if I look at the pre-match predictions, guys, I know that nobody wants to be negative, but I'm seeing 61% of us have gone for the loss. I'm seeing 13 for the draw. There's 26 going for a win. 26% of people are very optimistic, and I really wish I had the optimism of that. Let's just put it that way. For me, I just don't know if I see a big performance coming for us tomorrow, because right now we don't look like we're going to score a lot of goals. The match midweek against Forest was an absolute dull affair, and we were kind of played off the pitch at times by Fulham at home, a team who had won, I think, one away match all season before last week. So certainly for me, tomorrow's a big ask. Is it going to be too big of an ask for us? I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. I hope it's not. I hope we can go out with it. Big T says, with games like this, I wish Ollie was still the manager. Ollie had a good record at the Etihad. I think he won 3 times there. So, I mean, I'm never going to diss Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's record at the Etihad. Ollie, of course, as we know, was sacked for different reasons. Some of them valid, some of them maybe not overly fair. Look, guys, I got 18 likes in the stream. Let's see if we can get up to 20. Would be much appreciated. I have Man Utd. Ask Gary Neville who the biggest enemy is, and he will tell you Liverpool. Bar says, Emery's success shows how fast the changes can occur. The role of Monchi is understated, so maybe 22 months' time United will be in a better place. I would agree with that as well. I think the difference that Manchester United have, and this is a good way and a bad way. This is a good thing and a bad thing. The difference we have is that we are further behind in terms of the process. That's a bad thing. We have a bigger job to do. That's a bad thing. We have more resources to do it with. That's a good thing. And I think we're getting the best people possible to do the job. So I think that's also a good thing. I think it's a lot's going to depend on what Radcliffe wants to do. If he can put the money in instantly and we can instantly start to build a squad, that's really good. If we can accept losses on players or letting players go for less than what we paid for them, just to get them out the door, to free up that space on the wage bill, free up that space on the FFP, that's a good thing. If we are happy to let some players' contracts run down, that's probably another good thing and things we should be looking to implement and do. That's what I think we've got to do. Bart says, Van Gaal was really good at winning against the big team. His Achilles team was the smaller teams with avian nicknames like Swansea and Palace. Yeah, it's true. I think Swansea beat us like 3 or 4 times in a row under Van Gaal. Bafétimbi Gomez really terrified Manchester United defenders for a very long time. But look, the Van Gaal problems were always scoring goals. Everything worked in principle. Everything worked as a theory. And ultimately, it didn't work on the pitch. You know, the notion that if we have the ball at all times, we are always attacking, the opponents cannot score, and it's just up for us to put the ball in the back of the net. That's a very positive one, and that was a very good idea on paper. It didn't work in practice, obviously, but he didn't really have the personnel to do it either at times. But certainly, I think one of my big concerns, and going into tomorrow's match, where's the goals going to come from? Because I once again think we're back in this situation like we were under Louis van Gaal, where we don't have an out-and-out goal scorer or a lot of goal-scoring threat based on the style of play we're going to bring tomorrow. And that, for me, is a concern, because I think when you go to the Etihad or you go to Anfield, if you can't come away with a goal, if you have the capabilities of scoring a goal, it gives you a lot more threat. Tomorrow, I just don't know where the goal's going to come from. I really don't. I want to say Marcus Rashford, but I think he's got 4 or 5 goals all season, tops. I want to say Garnacho, but I think he looks burnt out. I want to say Anthony, but he's never looked good enough. I want to say McTominay, but McTominay, despite the goals he has scored, a lot have been concentrated, maybe with 1 or 2 goals in a single match. He did it against Chelsea, he did it against Brentford. I think that's maybe like 4 out of his 8 or 9 goals this season have come in 2 matches. So he's not scoring on a consistent basis week in, week out. It might be a cluster here and a cluster there. I think I have concerns about that. Casemiro's probably got a goal from a set piece in him. Maybe. Maguire maybe can get his head on the end of something. Dallo has the occasional goal in him. But let's not kid ourselves. There's no one in this team close to 10 goals all season. There really isn't. There's only Hoyland, I think. I'm just concerned, guys. I am just concerned. I am. I am. And I think tactically tomorrow is going to be an interesting one. I really do. And I want to be positive. You guys know I want to be positive. But sometimes like it struggles. Bart says we have to bite the bullet. Arsenal also had to do it. We did it for Klopp. Question is whether Ten Hag will be backed or the fan base will stop whining. I don't think it's just the fan base. I think it will be people within the club. The ownership do like to bring their own people in. I think Ten Hag is giving them more of an excuse to make that change week in, week out. And I like Eric Ten Hag. I've been a big champion of the guy on this channel ever since I started it last year. I still think that Ten Hag is a good coach. I still think that he's a good manager, but I think within himself um, there is character traits that mean that he's going to end up reverting to this awful football that tends not to work. And this is a long running thing because I've seen on Twitter this week there was videos coming up of like Ajax fans, Dutch fans, maybe 4 or 5 years ago when Ten Hag was there, and they had 1 or 2 injuries and they resorted to this horrendous style of football. I think they put Klaas-Jan Huntelaar up top and they played long balls to him all match, and it wasn't pretty. And until he had the right team back and the full team back, that's what he went with. Personally, for me, I'm not too sure I see this one going. I really want to say Ten Hag's going to pull something out of his sleeve, but I think that will be more of a surprise if he does. And that's not me being negative. That's not me wanting to hit the guy. I want this to succeed because, look, make no mistake about it. If Eric Ten Hag succeeds, that's a lot easier for Manchester United. That gives us success a lot quicker. If Marcus Rashford scores 20 goals between now and the end of the season, that's really good for Manchester United. And that's across the board. I don't hate any of these players. I don't hate the manager. I want them all to do as well as they physically can because that's going to help the football club out and it's going to be a lot easier for us. It's the question about whether we think they can actually do it or not. That's the issue here. When we're moving from the idea to the belief to the desire of for these people to do well, for these players, for these managers, for these coaches to do well, the desire is going to be there from the fan base, but can they pull it off in practice? Because it's not just done mentally, it's not just done with words, it's done on the pitch, and it's done every single week. Can we do that? That's my question. Let me see. I've got some more comments coming in. Jarl says we have to clear high wages before we can get new players in. Will not surprise me if he sells Sancho. No, absolutely not. Bourne says, what about a 3-5-2 tomorrow with Garnacho and Bradford in front? All he did at the Etihad and City would have lost like 5-1 if we had proper finishers. Bart says, give Louis van Gaal a Pogba and the theory would definitely become a reality with Martial and Rashford blossoming under him. Possibly. A third season under Van Gaal would be an interesting alternative history or like what if scenario, what it could have looked like if he got the players that Jose Mourinho got in that first transfer window. If Louis Van Gaal got Paul Pogba and if Louis Van Gaal got Zlatan Ibrahimovic, what would that have looked like? With Henrik Mkhitaryan in there as well, like what could that team have looked like in the end? Would have been very interesting. Jarl says Varane scores on a corner, so by the time he gets a goal, I think Varane scored once this season in the first match day, wasn't it? I think it was. Man Utd, Stefan, no point worrying about goal scoring as we don't have a striker. Worry about the goal conceding. I'm always worried about goal conceding, buddy. I'm always worried about this team letting goals in. Don't you worry. Bart says, will playing Bruno in the 10 till the end of the season help? Maybe relieving him of some pressing duties will help too. I mean, yeah, in the sense that if you went and you stuck Bruno Fernandes in his best position, he's going to make more chances for you. I feel like we're using his running ability to try cover ground in the middle of the pitch, but he's not an explosive runner. He'll put a lot of distance in, but he's not quite the explosive recovery runners that's really going to help us out in terms of what we need. Now, I have a comment. Chazsport said Huntelaar, now that was a target man. You're making me want to go back and watch Huntelaar highlights now. I think there's a season at Schalke where he scored a ridiculous amount of goals as well. I think it might have been Ranić Schalke as well at the time. Man Utd, Jim's master plan is on the paper. Everything's on paper at the minute. Until it's a reality, it's on paper. Bart says, doesn't have a football guy in his team so far. Barada and Dave Brailsford are not that. I have Jarl saying, I think at Ajax, the club told Ten Hag how to play. He was the director to get his players to get how he wanted. That's why he cannot do it at Ajax, since he himself does not know how to do it. Yeah, well, look, that at a modern football club, the style of play comes from the top. It comes from your management, the upper management. It comes from your CEOs and directors of football. They'll have a vision of how they want the team to play, and they'll want a coach to implement said vision. Now, it can change, it cannot alternate. There will be players brought in who'll be management signings, players brought in who will be club signings, and that's going to be more sustainable for us. Big T would like to see Anthony at 10. I would like to see Anthony on the bench and not playing, to be honest, buddy. Bourne says, I remember Dan James used to cause havoc with the pace and the break, but he was inconsistent, but still better than that Brazilian spinner. Yeah, I mean, we spent, what, 75 million on Jadon Sancho and 85 million on Anthony. So that takes us to a grand total of 160 million pounds on that right wing spot, to arguably downgrade in terms of performances on the pitch from Dan James and Anthony Elanga. It's a sad thought, and it shouldn't have been this way, but that's kind of where we find ourselves. So yeah, that's just, you know, one potential one there. Any more thoughts, guys? Make sure to drop them in down below. Would be much appreciated. I think I had a comment in there as well. Bourne says, Dan James would have been an outlet, but his end product and crossing were an issue. We needed better wingers. Yeah, we did. The question of whether to upgrade on Dan James was never in doubt. It's just, are the players we brought to be said upgrade, are they actually an upgrade? That's my question. And at the minute, I don't think they are. Like, I really don't. I think Elanga's probably better than actual Anthony at this point as well. Big T wants us to go back to 4-4-2, stop all the fancy stuff. We can't really go back to 4-4-2 because it's not really an in possession style. That's just, it had its limitations, and one of those is that you need to have more players in the middle of the pitch. So I don't see us ever really going back to 4-4-2. I mean, it's a good out of possession shape to pick up in terms of your defensive duties. It's not a bad shape. I think we kind of do pick up in that. We go with maybe a 4-4-2 or a 4-1-4-1 most times, but I do think that in possession it does have clear flaws. And look, it's good to have two strikers. It's an option to have up your sleeve, but no top teams play it, and there's a reason why, in my opinion. I have some more thoughts from Jarl. So one of the reasons I think Ten Hag should get another season is that we will look at what Ajax has done for years, get a vision on how to play, and Ten Hag will once again be a director. Maybe. I mean, maybe, but it's, as well as that, we're under the assumption here that Ten Hag is going to be willing to do all that. That's another concern that we do have to reckon with. And there are growing reports. Now, at the minute, I wouldn't say they're from the most reliable of sources, but Ten Hag doesn't seem willing to relinquish some of the transfer control. And it's one of those, this is the biggest job Erik Ten Hag has ever had as a manager, without a shadow of a doubt. And he's also got more control at this football club than he's ever had at any other club. So that's the question there, is does he end up relinquishing the control that he will probably think himself very fortunate to have and will enjoy having over his Manchester United tenure? Will he relinquish that and give it back to Ineos? Will he be willing to listen to what Ineos are going to be saying? Ultimately, he's going to have to, but will that cause divides and fractions? That's another question that will have to be asked. And that's why a lot of clubs go for the head coach kind of model, because what that ensures is that the manager has his own position within said club, his own responsibilities, and so long as he does them well, then all of a sudden it's going to be up to somebody else. Chatsport said, doing okay for Leeds is Dan James. Yeah, he's not doing too bad. Bart says, I didn't know that Stefan was an Evian fan. Have I tried Vittel or Volvic? Yeah, I've tried quite a lot of water. Water is water, buddy. Bart says we should leverage the credit worthiness and renegotiate the burgeoning debt. This will help us to truly complete the rebuild the way the Perez did in 09. I mean, maybe. I mean, that's possibly a shout. I mean, they're gonna look at Radcliffe's financials and say, look, this is a guy in a really good financial position if we do need a loan. But I think we're going to try all of our ways around it. Big T says 4-4-2 is perfected. It's difficult. No top manager uses it because they're not good enough. I don't agree with that. I mean, I don't agree with that. I think there's top managers, if they wanted to implement the 4-4-2, they would have. Jasper said manager and director works on targets together. Yeah, they will. There will definitely be elements of that, but there's going to be a lot more people involved in the process. It'll probably be, I think, a good analogy I said for it or seen for it online was that we'll have the manager involved in the first 10% and the last 10%. The manager will go to the directors, he will go to the head of recruitment, he'll go to the sporting director and say, look, this team lacks legs in the middle of the pitch. We need someone who's a good ball carrier, physical, strong, can win balls in the air, can win his tackles, cover a lot of ground. And then might say, okay, yep, look, we're looking at this, we agree. X, Y, and Z. Like Casemiro looks to be a little bit slow on it this season. And they'll say, right, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go and look at the list. We'll look at our budgets and we'll see what players we can come up with. And then they'll go away and they'll have a look. They'll narrow it down and they'll come back with a manager and say, look, we have Amadou Onana, we have Mats Pfeiffer, we have Ederson from Atalanta. Out of the three, we think Ederson might be the best because it's the most affordable option, and that will give us more money to spend on a striker, for instance. The manager might say, but look, I might prefer a more expensive midfielder because Højlund's already scoring goals. We might just need a backup striker. And that's the kind of back and forth you're going to get. You're going to get collaboration, you're going to get cooperation that way. It's not just going to be a case that we will have one target alone, and if we don't get him, we're going to jump to the next best thing, because that's what we've been doing. It's no competent sporting board would jump from Frankie de Jong to Casemiro in the one window. Like that's just not something you do, because they're totally different players. Totally different. And that's the kind of stuff we need to see. Bart says, Dyche, Pulis, Pardew, Moyes, Allardyce all use it to big effect, but at the highest level, a different approach is needed. Jarl says, I would go very defensive, 4-6-0. Maybe we'll just do a 10, a 1-10. Bart says, can I do a short video on how Amarin sets up his team and how he may fit at United or the PL? Yeah, I will. That's one, because I've got some interesting stuff here. I need to get set up and I need to get a frame, but I do have actually a green screen here, which could be fun for the kind of tactics and stuff videos that I want to bring. But I'm trying to work it out how to do it, because I don't want to look like a weatherman either. But there's going to be interesting ways to do it. I'll definitely do that there and maybe make some animations and stuff. Obviously we'll need some time to do that, but that's going to be a plan maybe for the upcoming transfer window in terms of management, in terms of players we're looking at as well. Excited to do that though. I am excited for that one. Look guys, keep voting on the poll. Drop a like if you can as well. Would be much appreciated. Bourne says, is it Drayton News are talking to Harry Potter? I'm sure they will be talking to him. They'll talk to a lot of people. And I think he might be on a list somewhere. Dan Ashworth was very keen on the guy. I'm sure he'll recommend him. Barada seems to be very high on De Zerbi. Radcliffe, there was inclinations that he liked the work of Potter at Brighton. There's talk that Julian Nagelsmann could be the number one target. There's talk that Amarin is on the list as well. Plenty of good managers out there. Bart says, do I read Karl Anka? He had a good article a while ago. It's called Shopping for Ten Hag last summer. Really good. A must read. I actually did. I read that last summer, and I've actually got a video coming up very soon called, well, it's based off the Tifo Tifo Football Club, now the Athletic Football Club's videos of like sensible transfers, but that's what we're going to try to do, is like just sensible transfers, value for money options who will fix what we need. Big T says, we're linked to 200 players. Will you be doing lots of video? Yeah, don't you worry, buddy, I will. It'll be like last year. I don't know if you remember last summer. I was live like every day of the week, sometimes twice a day, covering a lot of these, and the amount of names we got and we heard every week was kind of crazy as well. Bart says Brighton has had a bit of a slump due to the first European campaign. Yeah, they have. It's probably the same slump you see at Newcastle United as well. The additional matches haven't helped either of those teams. I don't think it's helped. I think West Ham as well maybe have struggled a little bit. Was there a comment come in there? No, there wasn't. I thought there was. Let me have a check as well, guys. I want to go through some of the latest talking points if anything's happening as well, just to bring you guys. Villa 11 points clear of Top four is not looking good, guys. I think we could be done with it, like, for the season. It's one of them. Like, I had this conversation with Bath Time on the United agenda, and the talk we were kind of having would be like, if we end up finishing Conference League places or Europa League places, it's bad for us financially. Make no mistake about it. But it's also a decent opportunity to give some young players first team minutes in European football. Like, you could put Manu in there, you could put Garnacho in there getting minutes, you could put Chelsea, Ibrahimov, blood some young players in. I think these are all options we can explore and things that we can look at. There was something I was looking for there, but I can't seem to find it. Maybe I'll have a quick check at this account. Let me see. Um, Bart says West Ham, but they also lost Declan Rice. Yeah, look, that's a natural. Um, that's natural enough. That was always going to happen. And Declan Rice, like, a lot of people have talked about Declan Rice not being worth £100 million. I think he is, because he was worth that much to West Ham. That was the importance of the player, and I think he's done well at Arsenal. I have an interesting one coming in. That we have been scouting. This is an Argo. Manchester United scouted on loan Antwerp midfielder Mandela Keita several times this year, and even obtained information from his agent about him. I'll have to take a look at this guy, because I haven't really heard too much about him. But there is a couple of names I can share some interesting stuff about, guys. And one of them you want to check out is, of course, Amadou Onana. But I think I said this the other day. Martin Hjulmand from Sporting Lisbon, heavily linked to United at the moment as well. A player who's perhaps a midfield target for us in this upcoming window, one to keep an eye out on anyway. But Mandela Keita, definitely a player to be having a look at if you haven't already. That's coming in from some sources, seemingly in Belgium. I would believe that we're looking for that type of player, because I think we're looking at these types of younger players who will be hungry, who will be looking bled into first team, who will be potential um, potential signings in the future. But this guy, Keita, defensive midfielder for Antwerp on loan from OH Leuven, and has played in the Belgian national team as well. But it's going to be an interesting window. It's going to be a different one, I think. We're going to see players we might not have signed previously, the types of players, the profiles. Big T, if Ten Hag gets one more season, do you agree he has to win or finish second? Otherwise, does he have another season, and when does it start? It's a good question. I think what we need to do, and this is going to sound counterproductive, but I think what we need to do is stop looking at a specific finish and take a look at a different picture altogether. If we end up finishing fifth this season and we go out next season, really improve in the upcoming window, and we finish fourth, that is more progress than what you would imagine, because we're taking active steps. And I think so long as we're generally pulling in a positive direction and heading in the right way, improving in as many different compartments of the team as physically possible, I think that's a bigger achievement than, say, having a guaranteed finish at second place. I think I know it sounds counterproductive, but that's what I think we need to do. I think we need to definitely try our very best to improve year on year, and if we get that, if we're going in the right direction, then I think that's good. Arteta at Arsenal finished eighth, finished fifth and fourth and second, I think. But the progression was always there after that second season where they finished eighth place. The team was clearly improving, and I think that's going to be the trajectory we find ourselves upon as well. Hopefully we can do it quicker. I don't want it to take 4 or 5 years. I would like to be a lot better in 12 months time, and then in 12 months time be better again than that. That's what I think we need to be striving for, a sustainable progression that will happen year on year. Bourne says the problem Ten Hag is no one knows what he's trying to achieve. With Arteta, you could see the developing team and the style of play, even though it was finished. Yeah, it was. Bourne says finishing 8th or 5th and now you're challenging. Yeah, exactly. And the reason why is because they stuck with the manager because they could see his vision. What is Ineos going to see when they look at Eric Ten Hag, when they see a manager who has walked away from his vision several times? Who, when the going gets tough, calls it quits on the difficult stuff and tries to bring it back to a very basic level. I'm just, I want Ten Hag to succeed because it makes it a lot easier for us. It saves us going through this process again. It saves us going to a new manager with new ideas, trying to get those across to the players. It saves us hunting down those managers. It also will be a lot easier if these players stepped up the players who we know we can, the Rashfords and the Garnachos, the Bruno Fernandes, the Dallos, the Onanes, players like that who might be around in 12, 24 months' time. If they step up now, it makes all this a lot easier. It makes it a lot easier. But whether or not that happens will be an interesting one for sure to watch as time goes on. Big T says, Ten Hag will finish this season lower than last. 400 million spent. He has to go. Surely we have regressed. I don't think anyone's going to dispute that. We have regressed this season. No doubt about it. Bart says Arteta was leaning on the job, learning on the job. Unlike him, Arsenal United have the money. The question is whether it's being used properly and the players bought before the pre-season, not in August. Yeah, that's the amount of times Manchester United will go out and buy players, literally, who will have to wait until the third or fourth Premier League match is played before making their debut is shocking as well. Chatsport said, wouldn't it be strange to see a Man United manager get a third season? It would be. It would be. I'm trying to think. Third season managers at United. Jose Mourinho lasted 2 months into the third season. I think Ollie got 3 seasons. And then he was sacked. If we ignore the Ollie caretaker season, I believe we finished. We got, there was the first season, which was the COVID season when it first hit. Then we had the second season, which was all indoors. Then we had the third season where I think Ollie got sacked as well. Is that it? Like I don't know how many third season managers we've had. Like I really don't. Not a lot. Not a lot indeed. For me anyway, not enough. Bart says that's not entirely correct. Looking at players come back in. Look, every single outfielder has spent time injured. That situation shouldn't happen. Big T says Arteta's doing it with youth. Could you argue we need him? No, I don't think we need Arteta. I think we're gonna have to go elsewhere. It's not like Rio Ferdinand saying the other night that Arteta would be coming in here. It's not gonna be like that at all. But I don't know, guys. I really don't know. I don't know where we're going to go. I don't know where the journey's going to come. But it will be a long journey. It will be an interesting journey. And hopefully it's going to bring us to the right destination at the end of it. Look, guys, going to leave the stream here. So thanks so much for tuning in tomorrow night. I'm not 100% sure if there will be a watch-along tomorrow. But I will go live tomorrow night regardless for a reaction. Hopefully I can get the watch-along done. But I will let you guys know on that there one as well. So guys, have a good Saturday, enjoy your Sunday, and I will catch everyone tomorrow as well. Big ups to everyone for joining in. Thanks for 26 likes, and I'll catch everyone in the next one.